Hi, and welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk to you about the top 10 things to learn in DayZ. It's been a long time since I've actually made a DayZ video, and we're just going to start with the crafting system. Crafting is an essential aspect of DayZ, and once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to craft various items that'll help you survive, so let's dive into it. Best things to grab for basic crafts are knives, hatchets, or screwdrivers, and the first item to craft is rags. These are used as first aid. Your character will usually spawn with some, and these can be crafted by taking any sharp object and looking at an article of clothing, or combining it in your inventory. Be sure to disinfect newly acquired rags to avoid getting an infection. Combine 2 stacks of rags to make a rope, or a knife and guts to make one. This can restrain players, but for practical purposes, add a burlap bag to it to make an improvised backpack. Next item is a stick. You can grab these by breaking down a bush. Make sure to have gloves on if you don't have a tool to do it. Add the burlap bag to this and craft a hunting backpack. You can also combine these with rags to craft a fireplace and then use another rag as kindling. If you have a tool with a bladed edge, you can cut bark off a tree and combine it with a stick to make a hand drill kit to start fires. Next up is weapon maintenance. Repairing your weapons is critical for success in DayZ. It helps you not run into issues with your gun jamming, making sure that your shots are landing like they need to, and this section will help you understand how to repair them. Sewing kits and duct tape will repair clothing, duct tape and leather sewing kits will repair shoes and armored vests, gun cleaning kits will repair any firearm as long as it's not ruined, and sharpening stones will fix any bladed weapon. You can find sewing kits and duct tape in any civilian areas. Gun cleaning kits are usually found in hunting cabins or in military bases, and then the sharpening stones can be found in outhouses, sheds, or even in barns you can find at farms. Storing your gear is just as important as anything else because having a place to stash a kit can help boost the next life and make it easier to get to those high tier areas. Using wooden planks and nails, you can craft a wooden crate to store some items. You can hide it, bury it, or dump it in a river. You can also do this with barrels or other items found around the world. But just be careful because obviously now I can't open my inventory to be able to pick it up. You can also craft tents with sticks and some rope being the easiest version to give yourself some more storage, but they are pretty hard to find. There's no way to lock them, and if somebody stumbles across it, they have free loot. Another important element of DayZ is finding the right loot and knowing which ones are necessary in order to survive. This section will cover how to find the most valuable loot on the map. Start off by trying to find cans of food or fishing for meat. Non-perishables can be found on zombies, in houses, or military camps. As you make your way towards the northern part of the map, be sure to grab medical supplies from med centers and hospitals. The basic guns like shotguns, MP5, Scorpions, and their mags will spawn in police stations usually, or even outhouses, farms, or even in the civilian houses themselves. Check barns and sheds for other melee weapons and sharpening stones to help maintain your gear. Be sure to move quietly. You don't want to stir up any unwanted attention, and just take your time and overlook the cities and the common areas like police stations, med centers for other players looking for the exact same things that you may run into. You're going to need to keep yourself healthy and avoid getting sick to survive. This section covers different ways to cure your ailments. The main disease that you'll have to face early on are cholera, salmonella, influenza, and the basic bacterial infection. Avoid cholera by purifying water with chlorine tablets, boiling it on a stove, or drinking from wells. Never trust a container you just found in the world. Salmonella is contracted from eating raw meat or eating and drinking with bloodied hands. Cook food over a fire or eat non-perishable foods. Wash your hands with a container, well, or pond to remove the blood before you eat. Cuts can get infected, and fighting zombies resulting in a bleed can get as serious if untreated. Use disinfectant, iodine, or an alcoholic tincture to clean your wounds. Disinfect bandages to avoid unwanted issues later. If you're already sick, tetracycline is a potent antibiotic used to fight bacterial infections. It can take a while. When I was live streaming, I ended up being sick for almost 3.5 hours before it finally went away. Influenza is caused by being wet and cold. The best practice is to take off all your wet clothes, wring them out, start a fire, and dry them. Be sure to eat and drink as much as possible, and if you find multivitamins, these can help boost your immune system. Now that you kind of understand the basics of keeping yourself alive through the environment, you can now kind of focus on navigation and figure out where you want to go. The map in DayZ is huge and can be challenging to navigate, but if you know what to look for, you'll never really get lost. This section will cover how to use the map and landmarks to navigate. A big tip is you always spawn facing north. From that, find the ocean. That tells you if you're on the east coast or somewhere along the southern portion of the map. Learning the town names and what they look like in Russian, this helps a ton. A compass is useful. You can find them in hunting stands, cabins, military camps, and even sometimes on civilian tables. If you can't find a compass, the sun sets in the west and rises in the east, and it's dark, you can find the Big Dipper and use it to head north. Learn identifying buildings and structures like the tank or the plane crash in Cherno. Some towns also have boards that'll show you where you are on the map with a red dot. Now that you're well on your way, you just need to remember to keep your character well fed and hydrated. It's essential to survival in DayZ. It boosts your immune system and allows you to move faster. This section covers how to manage your hunger and thirst level. From the start, you're at about half energy and hydration. You have time, but not that much. After about 30 minutes of running, your energy is going to be low, then you start losing health. Thirst is a little easier to solve as most towns have wells and medical centers may have chlorine tablets to purify water. If you can craft a fishing pole and grab a few fillets, you do need a hook which can be found along the coast or crafted with animal bones. Bait is gathered by digging up worms with a sharp knife or an object like that. The different levels of energy and hydration don't really affect your physical movements, but the lower the two are, the less you do heal over time, so it is important to try to keep them as high as possible. Once you've gathered some weapons and the ability to shoot something, you may run into some sort of various animals that can help or hurt your survival chance. This section covers the different wildlife species that exist and how to navigate around them. Hunting animals can give you a lot of food depending on the type of animal, and in villages, around ponds, and out in the woods, you can find plenty of domesticated animals like chickens, cows, goats, and pigs. These minus chickens will give you animal fat, which is the best food source around Chernarus. Once you head inland a bit, you'll start fighting predatory animals like wolves and bears. If unprepared, this could mean the end for your character. Sometimes bears will just hit you and then run away. Wolves usually run in packs of 2 to 3, and they can be really challenging if you're not prepared for it. So just be wary. Wolves always howl before they come chasing after you. Bears do make some noise, but it is pretty intense and they tend to knock you out pretty fast. If you do manage to find an Ogla, a Hunter, the Humvee, or the M83 truck, this can be a lifesaver. I don't normally take the time to hunt down cars in DayZ, but they can offer a lot of storage and get you around the map much faster. Epoxy putty, battery chargers, tire repair kits, and electrical repair kits are needed to maintain a vehicle. Tires can be repaired by looking at the tire, holding the repair kit as long as it's not ruined, and that honestly goes for anything that's being repaired. You can't repair a ruined item. Remove the doors and hoods and use epoxy putty to fix those. Like I said, it's not a huge deal if you don't find a car in DayZ. You can usually find stashes or bury loot. Cars are pretty loud. They're fairly easy to wreck if they haven't fixed any of the issues with the collision with cars. So it's entirely up to you, but I don't ever focus on trying to find a vehicle. Going unnoticed and staying silent trying to get the drop on your enemies could dictate the outcome of a firefight. It's essential in DayZ, especially if you don't want to attract zombies. Rag shoes are still the best to walk around with virtually no noise. You can use sharp, pointed, or bladed weapons to sneak up on zombies and perform a stealth kill to not alert any of the others. And you walk quieter on grass than asphalt, and shoes do make a difference. Wearing running shoes versus boots, the boots are much louder if you're walking on asphalt. I have over 1,600 hours in DayZ, and if you made it this far, I have some extra tips for you. You can climb through certain windows to get the drop on players or escape a bad situation. If you're trying to shoot somebody at 50 yards and your sight is rated for 200 meters, your bullet's going to be way off. Also, don't forget to keep rotating. If you're in a firefight, don't stay in the same place. If you have the ability to duck out to the woods and make a big circle to try to get the flank on your enemies, always do that. Sometimes it's a lot easier to just hip fire somebody than it is to aim down sights. You have much more mobility and it makes it a little bit easier to move around and keep your eyesight. Environmental awareness is really important. Noticing if a zombie is aggroed at a specific building, or knowing if you hear a player running around or hear them moving, reloading mags, all that good stuff can help you get the drop on your enemy. You're never really alone in DayZ, so you should always be scanning the horizons, tree lines, anything that you could see. Smoke coming from chimneys, oddly placed loot. I have gotten lucky enough to see loot laying on the ground, and there just so happened to be a player there, and we didn't die or kill him, but we didn't lose any of our stuff. I'm more than likely live right now on YouTube, so feel free to come by the stream and say hello. And if you want to help me out, I am planning on making stickers inspired by different things from DayZ and my brand name. Feel free to take a look at some of the pictures I have. I want to make them really high quality. They're going to be handmade by me. So as always, I love you, mean it by. Remember to stay girthy, my friends, and I will see you in the next one.